So, good morning and honorable speaker, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen. We are pleased to welcome you to the international webinar on the theme of issues and challenges of internship and apprenticeship perspective of private sector, hosted by Simultech Cambodia. I am Rien Chumrong from Public Relations and Partnership Division of Simultech Cambodia. It is my great honor and pleasure to be a moderator for today's webinar. Honorable speaker, distinguished guests, and all participants, please kindly be informed that this webinar will be recorded as document purpose of Simultech.
Recording in progress.
Now, may we commence the webinar with the Simul song and Simul color, please.
It's time to open our eyes to a bright and promising future. We'll rise to the call of the times and create a stronger tomorrow. Let's start to make a difference, teaching everyone to learn through science, health and technology. We will share our expertise. By promoting knowledge and policies, we can build a better world. Let us take a stand for our nation's health, making future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and dreams. Building the future is our legacy. We'll achieve our goals through partnership, creating opportunities. By working hand in hand, we can accomplish all our dreams. For a better quality of life is now within our reach. Let us take a stand for our visions of growth, making future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness
Thank you so much for your attention, everyone. During the webinar, I would like to encourage all participants to mute your microphone, and please raise your hand and state your question or type it in the chat box by stating your name, school, institution, and country. Your question will be answered in the Q&A session. Up next, may I give you the brief introduction of the webinar. The goal of education is to adequately prepare students to achieve success in their future career. Through the internship and apprenticeships, it will bring the benefit for students, school, and company in various aspects. Students can apply the classroom learning in professional environments. They can gain exposure to their chosen fields and establish critical networking connection. Moreover, students can gain converted work experience. Internship and apprenticeship allow TVET students to gain real work-based experience and that can help them transition smoothly from school to workplace and further obtain a full productive and decent employment. Today, Simulted, in collaboration with its partners, Copytech Indonesia, situated USA, LabTech Academy, Malaysia, Conference, Cambodia, and PT Mesin Isui, Indonesia, co-organize an international webinar on the important theme, issues and challenges of internship and apprenticeship, perspective of private sector. This webinar is expected to allow education specialists and subject matter experts from various countries to share their knowledge, expertise, experience, and to discuss possible solutions to those particular issues and challenges of internship and apprenticeship among different countries. Distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the agenda of our webinar to you. For the reminder, for participants through Zoom, please raise your hand and state your question or type in the chat box by stating your name, school, institution, name of your country. You are requested to fill in the evaluation form at the end of the webinar in order to fully certify and offer a certificate of participation. The link for evaluation form is provided in the chat room. For those who are watching us from YouTube live stream and Facebook live stream, please type your question in the live chat box by stating your name, school, and country. Simulted team will monitor your comment and select some question for the speaker in appropriate time. You are requested also to fill in the evaluation form at the end of the webinar in order to fully certify and be offered the certificate for participation. The link for evaluation form is provided in the description of the live stream. Distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to introduce and invite Dr. Song Hieng Ai, Director of Simulted, to deliver his opening remark. Dr. Song Hieng Ai received a Doctor of Philosophy from South Korea in Human Resource Development from Korea University of Technology and Education. His professional interests focus on technical vocational education and training, TVET, immigration, secondary education, curriculum development, and the soft skill. And his current research project include assessing the standing learning deliveries quality for technical and vocational education students during the COVID-19 outbreak in Cambodia, and assessing the curriculum implementation effectiveness at technical and vocational education institutes. Dr. Song Hieng has published some journal research articles international conference papers, book chapter, and a web blog. He served as the Deputy Director of Vocational Orientation Department from 2018 to 2020. He was recently honored with the Best Paper Award for his contribution to the International Conference on June 22nd, 23rd, 2019 in Bali, Indonesia. Currently, he has been the Director of Simultech since 2020. Dr. Song Hieng Ai, the floor is yours.
Good morning, our colleagues, especially Professor Jacob from CCA. We have worked together a lot of activity and even not only webinars, meeting and other projects as well. And we will have a future project together. And Professor Sivan Maki from Lake, Malaysia. Thank you so much for our successful training course in Cambodia on TV platform, TV-based platform implementation in Cambodia. Thank you. And thank you, PT Mesin Isuzu Indonesia, for joining us at the regional workshop in Prasianuk in July, as well as Mr. Hermbizet from Conference. So all the colleagues and partner. And today we are honored to have our more partner, for example, Dolang International Co-Ltd China here, ITE, Singapore, Cooperative Indonesia, mean that Higher Education Association to join us. So today we have 47 because of the overlapping program for Simultech. We have done virtual teacher exchange program for our network member for 3 months, starting from early September. So today's some exchange program with our teacher and student from country, from our school member. So today it's my great pleasure and honor to be with you all for today's international webinars. Today's webinar covers demand side as private sector. As you see, some of us from certain we had. And we have learned and know a lot about supply side from institution, TV provider. For technical education at secondary education level, it is the school to work approach as to be effective and sustainable. Supply and demand side must be matched in terms of required skill and competency. Hands-on or practical skill have to be enhanced by partnership between school and industry. To prove this, we are honored to have our eminent speaker, Professor Ronald Ling Jacob from CCA, the USA, MS Reddy Eka Indonesia from Medicine Isuzu Indonesia, Mr. Hermbizet from Conference Quality Cambodia, and Dr. Stephen Maki from Lake, Malaysia. Demand side play a key role in absorbing skill and competency from the supply side. A lot of research highlighted skill gap, skill mismatch, skill deficiency of student and employee because of some complex reasons such as instructors, curriculum focus more on theory, education system, equipment, and school infrastructure. Partnership and networking between school and industry, school management, students themselves, relevant skill or trade to be trained, and the like. However, today we will hear industry's voices, which will be crucial for consideration and policy action to match demand and supply side to ensure the right skill, right training, right employee, right job, and right position for our region. I hope today's webinar will serve as a learning and sharing forum for participants, students, instructors, professors, school management, and supporting administrators. I encourage active interaction between speaker and participant for Q&A session, for learning, sharing, and finding out alternative solution to existing challenges of technical education in terms of demand side. So feel free to share and to raise any concern or challenges during our webinar today. Finally, I would like to thanks a lot for time spent for this webinar together. In this meantime, I would like to open today's webinar from now. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Song Hyun Ai, for your insightful and inspiring remarks. I would like to express my gratitude again to Dr. Song Hyun Ai for spending your valuable time in delivering this inspiring remark. Honorable speaker, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, now we have arrived to photo session. So I would like to invite all of you to turn on your camera with beautiful smile for the photo session. Our technical team will help us take the photo. Now, let us put our best smile together. First shot. 3, 2, 1. Second shot. 3, 2, 1. The third and the last. 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much, everyone, for your lovely, inspiring smile. This morning, our technical team got your beautiful picture. Distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our next agenda, which is the presentation and discussion session. I would like to introduce and invite our first eminent speaker, Professor Dr. Ronald Jacob, Professor of Human Resource Development, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and President of Situate LLC, the United States of America, to share his topic on supporting employers to deliver effective apprenticeship programs. Professor Dr. Ronald Jacobs taught a wide range of graduate level courses on HRD, including research, strategic HRD, work analysis, and consulting in organizations. He has authored over 100 journal articles and book chapters. Dr. Ron is an emeritus professor of workforce development and education at the Ohio State University. Ron's current emphasis is Situate, the digital version of structures on the job training. He has also involved in many projects and received numerous academic achievements and awards that I could not mention now. Please allow me to hand over the floor to Professor Dr. Ronald Jacob for his presentation. Professor, the floor is yours.
Thank you so very much for your kind introduction, and thank you to everybody for participating in this webinar. I'm honored to be invited to be part of the webinar. Let me bring up my PowerPoint. Everybody can see the screen okay? Yes? Okay, thank you very much.
You can see.
Okay, very good. This is a topic I'm very pleased to be with you today, and I'm very pleased not only because I have so much respect for Simeo Ted, but also I am so interested in the topic that's being presented. You must understand that when people talk about apprenticeships here in the United States, unfortunately, there's not very much attention given to the partner, the employer partner. So I really congratulate the organizers of this webinar to take on this very important topic. You know, we all know about engaging with partners, and we know that many times when we engage with very important projects, when the partners are involved, especially partners that have diverging goals and missions and expectations for the outcomes. And that's true when you think about employers and also educational institutions. But people do start off with very high expectations. They believe that good things can happen from the relationship, from the partnership. But of course, it doesn't always end up in the same way that it did at the very beginning. And this is always something that I've been concerned with when I have been involved in these activities as well. We know that we can talk to the employers and we can ask them to do certain things to help make the apprenticeship programs more sustainable, higher in quality. But one of the issues that I've been talking about recently has been looking back at the educational institutions themselves or the agencies as a means to help those employers do a better job. And I think that's an important thing for us to think about. It's a very serious activity here that we're proposing, that the institutions may have some responsibilities and new roles to take on. And that's really what I'm interested in chatting with you today. Just a quick summary of my agenda. I just want to talk a little bit about apprenticeships. My perspective and my experience with apprenticeships is from an American perspective. I do know quite a bit about what's going on in very other parts of the world, but my experience base comes from the US, and I will share just a little bit about that. From my own experience, and unfortunately, we do not have a research database to support this too much, but I'd like to share with you my thoughts about what are some of the employer issues that I see that occur. And then from that, I want to share a little bit about what the challenges are for educational institutions, what they can do to maybe help employers address those issues. And then, of course, we're not going to leave it without some recommendations for action. And I think that's a very important part of this webinar, is to think about what could be done next. And I'm going to try to limit my comments to the extent that there will be enough time at the end for some discussion, some questions, some Q&A. So thank you very much again for coming to the session, to the webinar. And you know, when we think about apprenticeships, and again, I'm thinking about them from an American perspective, but I also know quite clearly that these are global issues because of the business that I'm in right now. I have seen and I have observed apprenticeships, interest in apprenticeships grow to a large extent. And we see all these different pronouncements about what's going on now that we're somewhat in a post-COVID world. But this idea of skills gaps, of getting people into the workforce, digital transformation, changes in the jobs, changes in the nature of jobs, we are seeing a lot of information about this, which has created a great deal of interest in apprenticeships. If you're thinking about your own countries, you may be thinking that's true, but it is certainly true here in the United States as well. When we think of apprenticeships here in the United States, we typically think of them as having two major structures to them, two major components. And I think this is more or less true wherever I've gone internationally as well. The first component, and is offered through many times the educational institutions, is what we call the RTI, the Related Technical Instruction. My perspective on the RTI is that it represents the prerequisites for the work that's being learned, and also information that would be contextual to that work to be learned as well. So it could be knowledge, it could be skills, and most of the time, this information Either, today we see a lot more of it online with online programs, but it could be returning to the classroom as well. And then, of course, there's the on-the-job learning component of apprenticeship programs. And it, in a traditional sense, occurs in the employer setting. And it's the connection between what happens between the RTI and the on-the-job learning that's really an important thing for us to think about, and for us to help employers do a better job with the on-the-job learning component. In the United States, we have these these partners or stakeholders within apprenticeship programs. The registering agency for us is not centralized, as probably some of you may know. The federal government, in our Department of Labor, the Office of Apprenticeships, it has registered apprenticeship programs, but many of our states, individual states, register apprenticeship programs as well. And of course, there's educational institutions, and to the largest extent, it's our 2-year community college system that I would be referring to, because most all of our community colleges have both the credit and the non-credit side, which allows people to, if they are not seeking a degree, they can get a certificate. Then, of course, there's the employer who's involved, and also, of course, we can't leave out the apprentice, the person, the learner who's involved in this too, as a stakeholder in the system. A little bit more information about apprenticeships, and I'll move on. But, we have a discussion here in the U.S., and I'm sure this is a global discussion because I've had this with a number of people. How should the apprenticeship be based? There's a great deal of discussion. I'm on the Univoke blog. I don't know, many of you maybe participate in that blog as well. There's quite a bit of discussion about competency-based apprenticeships, competency-based training, competency-based programs. There's a great deal of understanding and also misunderstanding about what is competency-based, but that certainly is one of the major areas of discussion that's going on now. Whenever we think about competency-based, it's always about a referent, always about what would be the referent, whether it be the training objectives or it could be the work itself. Another criteria for apprenticeships, obviously, is time-based, which means that you stay in the apprenticeship for a period of time before you can be released, and assuming that the time gives you all the experiences necessary. And then there's the hybrid, the combining of the competency-based and the time-based. I've seen arguments, and maybe this would be a wonderful discussion at another time, to talk about the benefits and the constraints of each one of these, the competency-based and also the time-based as well. This is a page I put in here because this is a page from the Department of Labor, our Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeships. And you can see there is now a registered apprenticeship program for cybersecurity support technician. And you can see that it is a time-based, as you can see down below the check, it is a time-based apprenticeship, which is very interesting. Well, there are interesting employer issues. And I want to say before I make any comments about the list here, is that I do not mean to make any form of disrespect or critical disparaging employers at all. We just have to recognize, coming from a school perspective, that everybody has a different goal and everybody has different sets of expectations and also outcomes. And employers are there to do the business that they are as described in their mission statement, and it is incumbent on the schools to recognize this as a truth, but there's still an important relationship that can be developed. So anyways, These, I'm going to list these and provide a little bit of commentary on these. These are the things that I see that are very important and are issues when apprenticeship programs occur, employer issues. The first one I see quite a bit is when the apprenticeship program is engaged in and people and individual apprentices begin to come into the employer. Many times it is not made clear among management and supervisors who is responsible for these apprentices, who's accountable for the development of the apprentices. So there are some issues, some organizational issues within organizations themselves. Another issue I see is that there's limited training for supervisors and the experienced employees who may serve as trainers. They have no preparation as a trainer, they have no preparation as coaches, and they're just assumed that they will be able to provide the information to the apprentice as appropriate. Now, here we get into some details here that is pretty important. For one thing is, almost always that I've seen is a lack of a job analysis that may have been based on the occupational standard. The occupational standard may represent the occupation, but we don't know the relationship between that set of information and the actual job that the apprentice is performing in the organization. And along with that, there typically is not very clear and explicit set of tasks appropriate for the apprenticeship. Tasks in the sense that they can be analyzed and understood and developed so they are part of a clear training plan for the apprentice. And this is an important deficiency because many times employers, they receive the apprentice and they understand that the person is supposed to learn a particular job, but they're not sure exactly how to conceive, what is it that that apprentice is really supposed to learn in a very specific way. Now, another issue that I see among employers is that we always assume that the employer itself has a very well mature and well-developed training initiative for its own employees. And I'm sorry to report to you that that is just not true in many cases. The organization may have programs for managers, supervisors, but for people learning technical information, there's a lack of training. And that is difficult because now we're expecting the organization to provide training to the apprentice, but they may not have sufficient training for their own employees looking at that same information. And this is many times a real confusion in the organization about how to adapt to that situation. Another issue that I see is feedback to the apprentice. That's in the form of performance checks that occur at the end of sets of training events. Also has to do with a training plan so that the apprentice knows very clearly what is their progress as they move through the apprenticeship. This is pretty important when you think about a competency-based approach to an apprenticeship program. I'm always puzzled when organizations say, or when an educational institution says that there's a certificate involved. And when I ask them, when you say certificate, do you know all the tasks that that person has achieved, has actually learned and demonstrated that they can perform? We don't have that information. And so we're not sure exactly what certification means. Now, in our system here in the United States, employers, it's very uncommon for the United States government to impose any kind of requirements on employers at all. It's much easier to influence schools. So when the occupational standards are developed for any occupation, I've seen many of these documents. The quality of the analysis is not consistent, and so you never really know how much information that the Department of Labor has. And I have a sense, because I've done much work in South Korea and in Malaysia and many other countries in working with their occupational standards, this is often an issue in other places as well. Another issue that I see, boy, there's a lot of issues, aren't there? But I was trying to think of as many. Maybe not, they're always, these issues aren't in every situation, all of them, but I'm trying to think of as many that I have seen over the past several years. The relationship between the RTI, the related technical instruction, and the on-the-job learning is often very uncertain. And I've seen very common mistakes that people make. For example, if you have your apprentices learn about mathematics, we call it shop math here in the United States, and then students are unsure what tasks, what is part of the job, why are they learning this? Why are they learning certain, like geometry or algebra? Where does that connect? What is the relevance of the RTI? Finally, is the end of giving feedback to the stakeholders and measuring program results in ways that's meaningful to the employer. We see a lot of data about employment of the students, of the apprentices, and we have proclamations that apprenticeships do benefit employers, but we really don't have a lot of hard data to support that. We would like to believe it's an aspiration that employers are in fact benefiting from the relationship. These are important employer issues. As I say, they may not exist in every situation, but I have seen them enough that I know that they exist. My position throughout all this is that the educational institutions and the agencies have, from a societal perspective, the greatest stake in program success, in the success of programs. And they are in a position best to influence others, because people look at the educational institutions as being experts in instruction and in learning and in change. And so many times the employers may look back at the educational institution, their contacts, for the kind of help that they think they might need. What I'd like to call for, and maybe this will be a little controversial, and I'd like to challenge you to think about it this way, I'd like to challenge the educational institutions to move from an administrator model where they are just recruiting students, bringing students in, providing classes, instruction for the students, to that of an active HRD consultant, that they are offering services to the employers, to their partners, on how to make sure that the apprenticeship program is more effective. It's a challenge to the schools, I believe, to take on new roles and areas of competence. Now, what are some of those areas of competence that I think are important? I think that obviously there are skills in consulting, and I'm not sure that a lot of people from the schools, they may have industry experience, but whether or not they have consulting experience where they can go out into the employer setting and provide assistance from a helping professional perspective, I'm not sure if that's true. In terms of very specific skills, I think people from educational institutions should have the capacity to help employers do job and task analysis. This is an absolute mandatory issue. It's so critical because the organizations, the employers, either don't have the time to do it, their HR people don't have the skills, and they may shy away from doing it the educational institutions are a third party that could help capacitate the companies and also provide that service as well. And you can see some of the other things here that I'm talking about as well. SOJT, structured on-the-job training, is the best way of doing the work-based learning. What is that? How do you help the organizations adopt some of those principles? And maybe offering a train-the-trainer program as well. I think there's some people here from ITE in Singapore, and I know they've had a long history of providing train-the-trainer programs to employers within the Singapore area. And of course, in evaluation as well. That is so very important to have those skills as well. Well, I only have a few more minutes. And so when I said that, these are the recommendations that I have, but there's also solutions as well, recommendations for action. I would like to propose that one of the roles of CMEO TED would be in terms of professional development, focusing not only on what people do for the benefit of their institutions, but also thinking about how they can better serve their partners when they engage in apprenticeships and internships. I think it's critical that the educational institutions take on a more proactive way of working with their partners, not just accepting everything that happens, but making an effort to show the employer that they can help them. And it not only helps the apprenticeship program, it'll have benefit to the employer in terms of their own employees, their regular employees as well. I'm showing you a picture of two books that I've written. Some of you have seen these. The one on the left is the one from several years ago on structured on-the-job training. And the one on the right is more recent on work analysis. And it provides very clear information, as I've been told, on occupational analysis, occupational standards, job analysis, task analysis, and things like that. We can talk more about that. But I think that these would be a beginning points for thinking about how the educational institutions could use existing resources to help make that transition. I put some additional slides in here that we can go back and talk about if there's a discussion about it. But I think because of the time element, I think I will stop at this point and thank you for your interest. And hopefully I will get some response. And I would love to hear your thoughts about the premise that I'm asking you to think about. And that's it. And that is, how do we help schools, educational institutions, take on a more proactive role in working with their employer partners? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your informative and insightful presentation, which cover apprenticeship program structure in USA, employer issue, valuable recommendation to educational institution and area of competence. Dr. Ronald Jacob. We really grateful to your presentation today, and may we ask you to stay until the Q&A session. Our participant may have some question regarding to your topic. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Up next, I would like to introduce and invite our next speaker, Ms. Ratri Ika Yunasi, Human Resource Manager of PT Mesin Institute Indonesia, to share her knowledge and experiences on apprenticeship program of PT Mesin Institute Indonesia. Ms. Ratri is currently Human Resource Manager of PTT Mesin Institute Indonesia. She is the founder of Komunitas Magage Bersat certificate which supporting Indonesian government program, monitoring, coaching, and facilitator for industrial apprenticeship and internship program. She used to work at PT Hampel, Indonesia, people operations specialist sales, people culture business partner Indonesia. She was HR executive of Danish company for 7 years and 4 months. She was a co-founder of PT Limor Lentera Success, where she acted as trainer, recruiter, HR consultant, and consultant for apprenticeship and internship. She has gained many more experience and achievement that I could not mention now. Please allow me to hand over the floor to Miss Patrika Yunishasi for her presentation. Miss Vetri, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are all doing well. So this is my honor to invite to present here. So allow me to share my screen and do let me know if you could see my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, of course, we can see.
Thank you. So today is on behalf of PT Mesin Isuzu Indonesia and also my leader, Mr. Dr. Rohmat Yuwono. He's supposed to be sitting here, but because of he has a certain important meeting that he couldn't able to present at the moment. So we would like to share about the apprentice and also internship program session that we currently organize in PT Mesin Isuzu Indonesia. So since that the moderator already introduced me really well, so I really thank you for the introduction and also the time. Yes, I currently working for PT Mesin Isuzu Indonesia, and previously I working for PT Hampel Indonesia as people operations specialist South and East Asia. Without further ado, let me introduce my company where I am currently sitting. So I am currently working for PT Mesin Isuzu Indonesia. It is in Indonesia. So if we see the globe here, that we are in the island of Java. The small dot here is the presence of our company. So we are sitting in West Java. So if you visit to Indonesia, you go to Jakarta, and then about 1 hour plus, you can travel to West Java. So who are we? We are a multinational company with about a capital size of 13 billion and owned by the Isuzu Motor Limited Japan, Isuzu Astra Motor Indonesia, and Isuzu Motor Asia Limited Singapore. So that's our shareholder currently. And then what we are actually produce. So if you could see that the vehicle outside on the road, that Isuzu actually have a lot of brand of vehicle, but to us in Mesin Isuzu Indonesia, we are focusing to produce engine for commercial vehicle. So maybe if you could, in Indonesia there is Traga, there is light truck, medium light truck, and also Isuzu Giga. There the machine is come from us. So we also produce cylinder block, cylinder head, and also comes up and all the part for our customer. So currently we are supporting both export and also for the local. So for the local, we produce engine for our other company, Isuzu Astra Manufacturing Indonesia, and then for the other, most of that we do export for the hub holder and also cylinder block, and also for the transmission, we do export to Japan, to Thailand, and also Cambodia as well. Yeah, talking about apprentice and also internship program, I believe that all the country, including Indonesia, we are focusing to the apprentice and also internship program. For Indonesia itself, for the internship program, it has been there for quite some time for the student, while for the apprentice, government of Indonesia, it is start to promote and invite industry to participate this program since about 2017 or 2018. About that, there's a massive program for that. to us with the program, we found that it is aligned with our value to provide a certain contribution to the nation through our CSR program. We see also that the apprentice and also apprentice program could help and support our job seeker and also the student in order to link to the industrial climate. That is the most important thing. But we also see the value from this program. Why we see the value? Because when we do the program of apprentice and internship, in our view, it is also will be benefit to our company because we could hire the skilled job employee. Why we need skilled job? As you see that we are producing a machinery, we producing machine or engine. This is so-called like need a certain technical skill set with it is specific in order to produce the engine. So there we found the value. So with that, then a long time back that we already try to participate and also support our country program by organizing apprentice and also for the job seeker and also internship for the student is as part of our CSR program. So it is for us, we would like to be to value the job seeker and also the student in order they can smoothly and get the ready talent for our company, because every year we always recruit based on our business need. And of course, by attending and also joining our program, we hope that our job seeker and also our intern from school, they could just try to understand about the working climate from the industry. Yeah, this is our company policy about this program. So in general, we are trying to support our government, our Indonesia government program, especially for technical vocational high school. So we are focusing only to the technical vocational high school aligned with our business need and also our business in general, actually. So this will be a benefit for both party. I mean, for the company itself and also for the student, for the job seeker, and also for their school. So the program is, we are introducing this program for two programs. First is for the job seeker, which it is promoted by the government. But now we are focusing more to the student in their apprenticeship program for the college from diploma, or either they are vocational high school, or in Indonesia we call SMK. So that's one. And then we also try to ensure that the program is benefit for both parties, and we also engage not only directly to the student or directly to the job seeker, but we engage the institution or the education provider. So that's how we are. I will share the framework from our company later on the slide. But with all the program and also with the experience, of course, I would like to share the challenge from us, from Mesin Isuzu Indonesia, that we maybe could discuss here. And I really pleased if I could also hear the suggestion and also input so we could address our challenges. So our challenges during organizing apprentice and also internship. First of all, I would like to share about the internship. As you might aware that in Indonesia we consist of a lot of island, and with a lot of island we have a lot of language as well, and also culture. So culture and also language is one of our challenges here, because sometimes we in West Java here we normally use bahasa, or we call bahasa Indonesia, where normally the student or the intern is come from outside West Java, which they are not. They can use bahasa, but they normally use their local language. That one thing. And then secondly, when we are trying to facilitate the internship from our local surrounding area from West Java. We also find certain challenge related to the culture, related to the fighting spirit, and related to the endurance when they are working. Why we say that endurance is important for us? It is because of mostly our intern will be working in operation or in the shop floor when we produce the engine. This is the reason whereby we need the student or the intern participant to have long endurance. So that's one thing. And second, because of we are produce based on the order, and the order has been transferred to us in schedule manner. The load in the production line is quite high, and this need special attention and also special effort from the intern participant and also apprentice in order to catch up with our pace. And the other is related to the safety factor. So we currently have standardized a safety procedure and also instruction for all the employee. We found that there is a certain participant not being facilitated by the university or the school with the proper education of safety aspect related to industrial when they are working in industry. So this is where this is where we need to have not only train them in terms of how the skill how to produce or to understand the technical thing related to our product, but we also need to provide a safety awareness to them, build up the safety awareness, because previously they don't have the understanding about that one thing. And then second is in here, if we could observe that not all the school or university provide so-called insurance to the student. So this is our homework whereby we need to provide the certain precaution for all the participants. But this is a challenge. We're sure that we can overcome it. What is the program scope currently that we have? We have internship and also apprentice. Unfortunately, this is so far only for the Indonesian and Indonesian graduate, and also internship for the Indonesian student only. So this program we are currently provide for the operation in the office and also for our soft floor in the line for line production. Normally, the program consists of 2 months until 6 months. It is depend on two things. First is the scheme or the competencies that we would like to develop. That one thing, and then secondly is related to the requirement from the school or to the university. Why we also consider the requirement from the university and also the school. I would share further on the concept on this implementation in our company. So this is I would like to share the concept of this program in one slide. So I hope that I can share the concept in our company quite okay. So this is where we first is we establish a cooperation with vocational college and also vocational high school. So this is consists of there is a memorandum of understanding. There is a certain visit to them, training, motivation to the student, and introduce what is Mesin Isuzu Indonesia. Why we see this is important? Because we see this program as a talent base for us in order we could hire talented and skilled worker. So that's why we established the cooperation with the college and also vocational high school. So we normally will have the candidate, we will do the administration selection and also certain tasks, and we will have the standard scheme for them to build up their competencies, and we also assign a mentor for them. So we already assign mentor for particular processes and also for certain competencies that we would like to build up. So this program is consists of soft skill from the leadership, the team work, and so on and so forth, and also related to the technical, which we would like to develop. There is a certain examination or evaluation after the program completed, and then the result, we normally there is a selection or hiring process for our ex-apprentice and also internship program. So this is where we see the benefit for both party. We got the talented and also skilled worker in line with our need, and then in others, the student and also the colleagues and also the professional have also the benefit from that side. So that is the sharing from us from Mesin Institute Indonesia. I would love to have discussed further, and I would like to really hear the advice or suggestion how we could improve or maybe organize this in more effective manner. So thank you for the time.
Thank you very much for your informative, insightful presentation of your company, PTT Mesin Institute Indonesia, and the presentation of your company apprenticeship program, challenge scope, conceptual framework of the program, Ms. Patri Eka Yunisi. We are grateful to your valuable time sharing with us with this. I hope our participants learn a lot and interested in applying for apprenticeship program to your company. May I ask you to stay until the Q&A question regarding some question from the participant. Thank you. Up next, I would like to introduce and invite another quiz speaker, Mr. Himpiset, Deputy Managing Director for Invesco PPM Conferel Co Ltd Cambodia, to share his knowledge and experiences on two-way of technology transfer and issue plus challenges for internship and apprenticeship. Mr. Bisset plays an important role making issue a smooth operation with quality and quantity manners. Professionally, he managed developing 5-year project and 10 years project for long-term vision of business and implementation, budget management, and control versus activity plan of the production, marketing, sales planning in order to achieve company goal. R&D management for new products, development for market demand, and supervising the product registration at ministry, training and implementation on organization product for the standard of ECNOP, Just Go Far, Fair Trade, and Fair for Life. Managing for certificate of GMP, HACCP, ISO, HALA, and human resource management following the time frame. Managing product plan for local and exportation market. Please allow me to hand over the floor to Mr. Himpiset for his presentation. Mr. Bisset, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I think I can share my slide. You can see my slide, I think.
Yes, of course, we can see.
Aku chẳng có sông rong, aku chẳng bạc trong sông trong địa phủ. Xin chào, Ni hao, mình phòng Senat. Assalamualaikum, Sawadi. Some very good morning, Dr. Aisiang and ladies and gentlemen to the international webinar today. Yes, I gonna talking about some issues, challenges for internship and apprenticeship. Also, perspective of private sector in the two way of technology transfer. Yes, my name is Isat, Deputy Managing Director from private company. Yes. I will take a few minutes to present you about my concept, my company concept regarding to business concept, product development, quality, and also the potential market. And then I will talk about the technology transfer issue and challenges as observation regarding to our experience in the in years. Yeah, especially we talk about the research development, research opportunity for the students from university. Opportunity of internship and apprenticeship with our company, issue and challenges observation during the internship. And finally, I'm going to talking about recommendation as a perspective of private sector. Yes, allow me a few minutes talking, present you about my company, Convera. Yeah. Actually, Convera set up in 2001 by Dr. Hadian as his friend in Cambodia. And the Convera, actually Convera stands for conservation of our natural heritage as originality. And the last word meaning it stands for right remuneration to all stakeholders and provide the opportunity of job to the farmer and all the stakeholders. Yes, since 2001, we developed a lot of products from the country. Maybe all of you know already about the country. And from the country, we developed a lot of products such as palm sugar, palm syrup, palm vinegar, and also some palm wine. And you can have chocolate palm sugar and some drink from the palm top. And another side, we also produce a lot of product from compost pepper. Compost pepper is what we call geographical indicator of product in Cambodia, and we process a lot of products such as compost pepper, black, red, and white, and also compost pepper sold to the market. And recently, we produce what we call compost pepper tea, what we call a herbal tea from the pepper infloration. All products are certified as organic and GMP ACCP product. Is the product. We can say the product, the healthy product of Convera. Yeah. With our quality product, we can export our product to many countries around the world, such as export to some country in Europe, Germany, France, and some country in Southeast Asia, Japan, South Korea, China, Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore, and also to Vietnam. Yeah. This because of our premium quality of product. Yes. Regarding to the point 4, regarding to the technology transfer issue and challenges observation. Yeah. Actually, Actually, our conference has our team working on research and development. We have a strong team graduate from university in Cambodia, and some of them graduate from the university from outside country. Actually, our research and development team, they focus on improvement new products, and they focus on improvement the existing product, and also to move forward for the new product development for the company. Yes, another side for our company, we can say it is our policy to support to the university, to the school and university. We set up what we call PINA Foundation. For the PINA Foundation, we have two awards. One is as you can see, one is PINA Prize. The PINA Prize is for the student from University of what called Pharmaceutical University, and second is KNOTO. KNOTO is the award for the student from food science technology. That is the way that we participate with the government in order to sharpen our student, our young generation. Here is the award that here's the award of KNOTO. You can see here award of KNOTO, and award of PINA Prize for the student from university. And we do this every year, and with many universities from Cambodia. Another side, we also provide opportunity for the student having the internship or apprenticeship with our company. As a local, we provide opportunity for the student from, for example, ITC or UA, the student from food and science technology. And we also provide opportunity for the student from outside the country, such as the University of Montpellier from France, to have the internship or apprenticeship work with our company. Yes, from point one regarding to research and development, and point two regarding to research opportunity for the student, and the three is regarding to opportunity of internship and apprenticeship with us. I can say that our company provides a lot of opportunity to the students from university, having the good opportunity to develop their skill and their knowledge. Yes, and I'm sure that there's no many companies such as our company doing like this of normally company they think about the benefit, but for us, for Coursera, we think about benefit and we think about the human resource and development, human resource for the country. Just regarding to the issue and challenges, for sure when we have internship or apprenticeship with us, employee can get the benefit from internship or apprenticeship, and also employee or employers can and also internship or apprenticeship can get the benefit from the employer. Yeah, but I won't say much about the support, but I will talk about the challenges and some issue that I observed that we observed during the internship with us. Yeah. The first is the confidentiality of research and of the research of students that lead to limit of exploring their result of research and development. And the second is regarding to the youth. Yeah. And the second regarding to the use of the output of internship or apprenticeship. And the third is regarding to the way of school and private sector work together. I can ask the question: how big the collaboration of the two sector? Normally the school or university is what we call the research institution, and then the one way is to provide the result or research and development to the industry for develop and for exploring the result of all the students. And then when the company or private sector have the project of development, they should come back to the school for research and development. But so far we observe that the only one way is from the company to the school. There is the big concern that when the company have what we call the project for research and development, they need to go back to the school for the research and development. But since but as observation, we forget the research and development is always done in the company, because company invest a lot of money for the research and development at their place. That is the way that we need to improve in the next step. So that how we can improve this. As a recommendation or perspective of private sector, and the same as perspective of Cambodia. in 2005, we are in 2015 we are in a lower middle income of the country, and in 2030 we will be the upper middle income of the country, and 2050 we will be the developed country. That is we can say that the perspective of Cambodia. So that to achieve this perspective, Cambodian for sure we will need the high quality of student. We will get the student with capacity, and we need to develop our competent young students for achieving the social economic goal. So that to achieve this, and as the perspective of private sector, I suggest that we need to build a very close collaboration with the private sector. In that case, Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport need to build a very close collaboration between the training provider, I consider private sector or company, and the school. This to make sure that the knowledge is to make sure that we can share the common interest and skill, and also we need to develop what we call to work together with the company, the private sector, to what we call to co-design the skill training program, including the orientation for internship or apprenticeship, that make sure that the skill or the knowledge that they got is reply to the industry demand. That means the research and development is for industry. Okay. In that case, just the skill for industry, we need to encourage what we call GWEP program to the student, because the students from high school need to have their basic knowledge from the high school, so that the GWEP program need to be encouraged or to promote to the students from their high school. Okay. Another side. Let's say as I know that Ministry of Industry and Technology Innovation, they start to create what we call law on technology transfer. This the good law that can promote and integrate the technology transfer to the private sector with the quality and with the quantity manner. Yes. Okay. My presentation is finished, and I wish all of you be safe from COVID-19 and typhoon. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pisat, for your informative and insightful presentation on business concepts, product development and quality of your company, technology transfer issue and challenges observation, opportunity of student from school, university to work or have apprenticeship in your company, especially for local student, and your valuable recommendation to issue and challenges of internship and apprenticeship. That is very impressive, and we are grateful for your valuable time in sharing your topic today with us, and may you stay until the Q&A question. Perhaps our participant going to have some question. Thank you, and wish you healthy.
Thank you.
Yes. Up next, I would like to remind all participants, if you have any question, any concern, please type in the chat box so that our technical team can copy your question to show in the screen to our speaker. Well, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, up next, I would like to introduce and invite our last speaker, last but not least, but Dr. Stephen McKee, President of LabTech International Ltd, Malaysia, to share his knowledge and experiences on educational crossroads in our webinar. Dr. McKee is the President of Emeritus of World Didactics Association and a member of Governing Executive Council of World Didactics. Since 2012, he is the president and founder of LabTech International, founded in 1985. He is recognized as being one of the leading global practitioners and innovators for TVET and digital learning. Dr. Stephen McKee has worked in international educational development for 40 years and has published many articles on educational development, 21st century learning, teaching, and innovation in various academic and educational publications. He is also an advisor to several governments on implementation of new TVET program to use technology for teaching and learning. In 2019 and 2020, he spoke and participated in more than 20 educational conferences and even worldwide in the TVET sector. Please allow me to hand over the floor to Dr. Stephen for his presentation. Dr. Stephen, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Chamrong. And it's a pleasure to be here with all of you from the CMEO TED Network, all your friends, associates, and colleagues. And thank you, Dr. I, for the invitation to speak with you all today and share some thoughts on apprenticeships and internship programs. And this is very interesting. So it's nice to come after our previous eminent speakers. Dr. Jacobs, always has some fascinating things to say about and much wisdom about these topics in particular, and Ms. Ratri and Mr. Him. I still have some of your pepper from our time in Cambodia, which is truly excellent. So I'm sharing my screen here now. So hopefully you can see this, I believe. And let me just get the icons out of here.
Well shown.
Okay, right. Okay, that's good. So you're seeing the full view, not the presenter view, right? I think. Yes. Okay. Right. In this time, as we come out of 2023, it's a watershed year for us. And that's why I kind of think that the message this year is that we're at a crossroads here in education. As Chamrong said, I've been involved in educational development for over 40 years. I've never seen such a pivot point as we are currently experiencing. And talking about internship and apprenticeship is really very important at this time too, as well. And for those of you that may not be familiar with LabTech, we operate in about 90 countries around the world, use our educational training systems. We are in the education industry, but we are also industry. And so we're kind of halfway between normal industry and education. We understand both sides. We manufacture products. We have factories that produce our training systems, which are in 7 areas. We have over 1,000 different products that we produce training systems for universities, polytechnics, vocational high schools, and things like this. So one of our jobs is to, design these training systems and make it relevant for both industry, the jobs, the skills that are needed in industry, and also to match the way that we do education and training. And both of those things change constantly. And this past 3 years, they've been changing a lot as well. And so we've been looking at different ways that we can improve things. And one of the things that we've been working on consistently over the last 10, 15 years is digital or e-learning. And that has really accelerated tremendously during these past 3 years. We've seen, one of my friends from Intel says we've seen 7 years of movement and acceleration during this 2.5 year period that we've been in COVID. And that's acceleration towards doing digital learning. So we're, at LabTech, we do a lot of development, programming, and simulations to create digital twins of various industrial products and things like this at the factory that are used then in our content. And of course, I think many of you know that we have an official memorandum of cooperation with CMO TED that we signed last year. And a few months ago, we held special training sessions in Cambodia under this agreement. And also we are doing online training programs for teachers as well. As part of this, we've established supporting a CMO version of our LabTech Academy for online learning, which we're using for teacher training at this moment, but will be expanded later on to schools and students as well. And the next thing that we're doing, activity that you all may be interested in, some of you, it's a workshop on leadership. It's an education leadership workshop on our digital Tibet framework, and that is how to move education more towards a meaningful and more impactful use of digital learning in our schools, institutions, and our ministries. And this is something that it's a planning guide that enables institutions or ministries to develop a holistic approach towards implementing digital learning in a better way. And this is something we've been studying for over a decade, because early on we saw a lot of failures in this area. And so we're out to correct that as much as possible to help countries develop in this way. Now, our experience in education, in apprenticeship and internship programs, we do both. We started out quite some time ago in 1992 doing our first apprenticeship programs at our factory headquarters on Batam Island. And we did this as a response. It was a personal request from the Minister of Education at that time, Dr. Wardiman Jojo Negoro, from the Ministry of Education in Indonesia. He asked me to do this. He came up with this program called Link and Match to link industry with education and match the needs and outputs. Brilliant program. He was an engineer by profession. He was actually a vice president of Bechtel Corporation in the U.S. that did massive construction projects around the world. Brilliant fellow. I've still been in touch with him in the later years after he was Minister of Education. But he brought something that in perspective of industry to education that no other minister has done before or quite since. In fact, the only other minister that we've had in Indonesia from industry is the current minister, who is one of the founders of Gojek, for the taxi services, food services, financial payments. And he's one of the first tech entrepreneur billionaires in Indonesia, is now the Minister of Education. Very fascinating. But we became a model for this apprenticeship program during that time. And we did a couple of innovative things then that we continued to do and innovate. One was that we introduced fair compensation for the students. And what that means is, before we started doing this program, students worked for free. And they were just taken advantage of and exploited by industry. And it really didn't come to much good for anybody, I think, because of that. And we looked at the Australian model for inspiration, where there was a fair wage paid for fair work. And so we introduced a supplement to stipend. We provided accommodation, food, and allowances for the apprentices. So everything was paid for them. And the cost to us came out to be about the same price as an entry-level employee. And so we were looking at a model that would be fair to industry and fair to education, fair to the school and the student. And that started something in Indonesia where now it's quite common that, our friends from Isuzu will tell you the students are paid to do their work. In 1997, we changed our corporate structure so that the entry-level employee to the company was no longer just somebody hired from somewhere, but mostly it was fulfilled by apprenticeships. And so we would have the lower level ranks of entry-level employee coming in as apprenticeships, and we would run 100 or 200 through the factory every year. And from those, we would recruit our permanent employees then. And that has been very successful for us. And it shows that what Dr. Jacobs was talking about, and also Ratri also as well, when companies start to change themselves to match the apprenticeship program, a lot more benefit is generated for both parties. And one of these things is to show that industry can change how it views and treats employees or apprentices. And that starts to create a structured program that Dr. Jacobs was referring to, that you need a structured program when the student comes in. How the process works needs to be defined. And in our case, we pair the apprentices with our senior staff, and they become mentors to the apprentices. And so, when they're at the factory, they're not only learning work practices, but because we are an educational factory, they're also learning about the technologies involved in the educational aspect of this. It's not surprising we're one of the most sought after programs in Indonesia. We've had over 4,000 apprentices run through our factory, plus teachers. Now, our internship program, I would say, is really teachers. So it's more like a work-study program where you allow teachers to come up and spend time anywhere from 3 months, 6 months. Actually, normally it's 6 months to 1 year at the factory, like an industrial attachment program. And here they're free to learn about things. We have so much technology here and information resources that we use and to create all these training systems. It's like going to a research center for them. And they could participate on research projects or production projects. It depends on their skills and their nature. So at this time, we're just starting up our apprenticeship programs again. We, after halting them because of COVID restrictions, we're now having apprentices from local polytechnics, particularly for multimedia development in our digital learning. We're using a lot of apprentices there, and they need a lot of training. One of the things that all industries look at is, are the students ready to use? And this is a vast issue that has no one answer. It depends on the school. It depends upon the program, where you recruit them from. And we need to close that gap, though, more. And I think by participating in these programs, the schools really benefit, particularly if there's valid feedback from industry about what the student is lacking, that the program in the schools can improve, and industry gets more of what it wants in that area. And of course, this is a real desire by many schools and educational institutions to close that gap so that the hireability of the students is higher. The impact that this program has had on us is many. One, we have better employees, I have to say, because of this, because we can, as one of my friends says, you can try before you buy. You can hire the best, and it's an amazing recruiting program. Also, with the internships, we have the teachers. Many of them have continued to work with us as subject matter experts after they leave. the factory. In fact, we're just starting this program up again with several universities in Indonesia to re-engage again the SMEs. And it also gives us a better appreciation because, as you know, we're in the education industry. It gives us a better appreciation of what the schools are like and what is the state of our education this year. Is it improving? Are the students having the correct skills? And we often test the students actually on their knowledge. We give them assessments that we have. We're fortunate enough that we have many, many types of assessments, and we can see, are they improving? Are they declining? And I think, though, that as all of our speakers have said, really this point that industry and education need to adapt to each other to make this program work. And how that happens is probably different in every country because we have different operating conditions, different relationships between industry and the government and education that need to be taken into consideration. We have different leaders in both the institutions and the ministries. So we need to work with what we have. And we'll get to a few more of these points later on. But first, I'd just like to say a little bit briefly, that when we come to how do we view this? We kind of come from a technological point of view, which influenced manufacturing and industry, and then that determines jobs. And then we get the skills from that. And then we need to match the learning, to this as well. And during the COVID period, we've seen that there's been huge changes in society, work, also Industry 4.0, which is an area for vocational technical education. That's a very important concern to us. All this has been put into the whirlpool of COVID and has accelerated parts of it. Other parts of it have pulled back in here and doing this. And we're kind of have gone through a bumpy journey over the last few years. And I think this chart is good in the sense that although it was done a bit prematurely in 2020, I would stretch this out for 3 years now, that we're at a point where there's a choice now as we come out of COVID restrictions and things are returning to normal, face-to-face instruction is starting again. There's a choice here by each institution, almost every teacher, and certainly the ministry, of how much change we will have learned from our past experience. Will we use digital learning and teaching in a better way and to more effect in a proper, and also use technology really for teaching and learning? And this is going to be highly variable between countries. Some countries, I think, are just going to go back to doing what they did before. They won't have learned anything. Other countries are going to take this into consideration. And those that do, and then follow to incorporate not just Zoom, but interactive learning, digital learning in a better way, can accelerate further and strengthen their education system. They can lower their cost of education. They can make it more resilient. They can make it more updated. And those countries are going to be the ones you watch over the next few years that will accelerate and actually develop farther and faster too as well. I'd like to share with you that there is this report that came out a couple months ago that was a joint report from World Bank, the Gates Foundation, the Ford Commonwealth Office, UNICEF, UNESCO, USAID, that talks about what happened in learning loss during COVID. And the countries that are red, orange, and yellow and gold have experienced a lot large education losses, up to 1 year or more over the past several years. So we have a generation of students that are severely impacted by what we've just gone through. So our job not only is restore things to normal, but we have to be concerned about these countries and these students where their trajectories, their life trajectories are altered now going forward because of what they lost in many ways. Their social connections, their social ability, what they have lost in their learning. And this, they're predicting will affect their job prospects by maybe somewhere around 20% or so. And, you know, we have 34% increase in depression. 24 million students may drop out. I think this is highly underestimated, particularly in a global area. We see that the dropout rate and disengagement from students increase. It's very difficult to get them back in the education system again. And there's we're talking about losses in the world of trillions of dollars if you add this up, in different ways, the impact on the economy. So this is an interesting chart, I think. So we are here at this point now. The gray line represents where education would have been going normally. What has happened is we've dropped it off and it's gone lower. And if we do nothing, it will result in this yellow line, which means we won't be back on track. We will be at a lower expectation rate. And for many countries that are expecting their economic dividend, demographic dividend of high youth in the workforce, this is a bad impact in their national economies, and one that will echo for the next decade or two on here. So the good news is we can get on the blue line and over the next number of years recover to where we were, but it calls for proactive planning and engagement. And I think the apprenticeships and the intern programs are helpful there. So this report is really fascinating. I was captivated by it. And it has a framework here about how to work towards learning, recovery, and acceleration. They have this program called RAPID: Reach, Assess, Prioritize, Increase, and Develop. I highly recommend that you all that are interested go and read this. So again, we are at a pivot point here of which direction that we're going to go. And, in the past, we were just getting into the area of, all these smart cities and smart factories, smart highways, smart agriculture and stuff like that. But now we really need to talk about smart education and to make education come up to the same level of as these other initiatives here. And that's by using various types of technology, not just teaching technology, but using technology for teaching and learning and embedding it into the education system in a way that will benefit this. And, this is where we view it as a third pillar of the TVET system. The first pillar being the teacher, who manages everything and does the theory, the lectures, and also the workshop. But now this digital learning can support the teacher to give him more time to do more work in the workshop, the hands-on, the practical. And as we're talking about today, the whole industry engagement is another, you could almost call it the fourth pillar of the TVET system. But it's a very weak pillar in many countries that needs to be strengthened too as well. And we're seeing also a shift in learning, I think, in learning desires by students. And we have to be careful that we're not turning them off. In many cases, the old way of teaching, which we would call pedagogy, where it's the instructor giving one way to the students, spoon feeding them, this is not working anymore as much with the youth because they're different nowadays. Many countries have already gone to andragogy, particularly in the vet area, that this is where self-directed learning and the instructor as a facilitator. We've been talking about this for a long time, but now we're talking about hudagogy. And this is where the student takes ownership of their own learning program for their entire life. And this is actually really teaching lifelong learning and embedding it into here. And technology can make the difference in implementing this for sure. In this way. And with the industry changing as much as it is around the world, this is the best that we can do for the student, to teach them how to learn, that they learn how to learn, not just learn the technology in front of them, but they learn the process of learning and they embed it as a personal habit. And if we could do that, we do not have to worry about our students after they graduate. We will have given them something that will last for their life. This is I think I'll just skip this one here about that. But we're getting a lot of educational trends from hybrid learning, micro-credentialing. This applies very much to industry too. 21st century skills, artificial intelligence things, micro-learning, and vocational training coming up in other sectors. But we are talking about discussing how to revise the education system to deal with this. And as Dr. Jacobs mentioned, it needs a structure, and often ministries are able to influence schools more than industry. I heard you say that, and that was a very, telling comment, and I totally agree with you. It's very hard to influence industry except by leadership and making good models and making something that's obviously a benefit to them. Then they will do something. If they view it as a burden, they will shy away from it. And putting industry liaison and partnerships and model programs in as part of this would be a very good thing. And particularly, we widen the view of our educational structure and our platforms, to beyond the school. We should, if the vocational schools are in the middle here, we should better prepare the students to come into those schools, first of all. That's one thing we should do. And that could be things like STEM programs or outreach programs, various types of things to get students life skills that they need, but also to get heighten their interest in the vocational technical area. But once they're here, then it's now that engaged with industry. Apprenticeship programs are a really good start, but it's just a start. As it was mentioned by, I think, highlighted by other speakers, many industries do not have robust training systems themselves, particularly the SMEs. And because they don't have the capability for it, they don't have educational experts on staff. And this is where local educational institutes and ministries can help industry to improve their training programs. And this is so vital to economic development. It's not enough to do something at a certain level to master that, but you have to keep improving nowadays. And if you stay static, you die in most industries. You'll not achieve sustainability, and you'll become quickly irrelevant. And so we need to help industry do this, because the healthier the industry, the healthier our economies on here. And balancing this between work, learning, and life is a real issue here. And to achieve that intersection between all these things, and work is industry, learning is the school, but also our personal lives, and balancing this to have a humanistic approach, that we're doing this not just for industry, we're not doing this just for the schools, but really it's for the benefit of balancing the student and giving them their careers and their lives that they can benefit with. And we never should lose sight of that. And I think it was Dr. Jacobs touched upon this. There are many types of training that industry needs. We're discussing one today, apprenticeship, but there's also vestibule training, which is the entry level of employees into the company. There's the internship. We are actually talking about that today too, and off-the-job training and on-the-job training. And the schools and industry could together develop platforms to articulate the learning and bringing the experience of the students and the teachers into the workplace, and benefiting it from a better engagement by using access, that learning resources become portable and move into industry, can even be used by industry for their existing employees to upgrade their skills and their upgrading too as well. And so in adjusting to this, we've really had a problem, skills gap widening of the past few years. The skill clusters and skills are also that industry requires of their employees are changing. And during COVID, this whole thing about digital literacy has undergone a change and transformation itself. And digital literacy used to be one level that we expected of being competent with using computer technology, PCs, and standard office programs, stuff like this. Now it's more of you're able to use multiple digital platforms to balance your work and your life in the most efficient way possible. And we don't teach this at school. We don't even begin to teach this at school. But yet this is more important to industry now. So this capacity building for industry, if the institutions look at this and articulate and develop platforms to carry on education beyond their borders, really to embrace the concept of lifelong learning and employment, then this would be a good thing to do. And also to enable cross-training in different subjects. This is something industry really needs. You have a technician in a mechanical area, but he needs to know something about electronics, but he doesn't know that. Institutions can help industry to do this cross-training, and it can be done in the regular training programs too, as well. So comments about industry, I think, reflecting what many of our speakers have said. It is difficult for industry to connect to schools often. It's random. It's highly variable. You get some great schools to connect with, and then other schools that just don't have a policy on there. So this is one of the frustrations that industry has. And again, I don't mean to be critical either, but it is just a reality of what we face. And it's hard to sustain those relationships when those variable arrangements change when the leadership changes in the schools or the ministries. We've been around 40 years. I can't tell you how many times we've had to re-engage with schools that we want to keep working with, and we always have to be the proactive party in most cases. And the students coming into the industry, I echo the sentiment that they're unprepared, that they're not sure what they're supposed to do. And I would also put that on the other side of industry. They're not sure what to do with the students in many cases. And there's not enough monitoring by both sides, not just the school. And the programs may not be well targeted what the student needs to learn and what industry needs. And so there should be a better way to match these things up. We often see students going on apprenticeships just to tick the box, but it doesn't matter what they're doing. Then that's unfortunate, because that's a waste of everybody's time. So suggestions that I would have is that, we need to systematize this where it is a true objective in a country. And that starts with the ministry. There should be a coordinating office for apprenticeship development. And there should be the leadership to drive and integrate apprenticeship programs with industry and that has a dialogue, high-level dialogue with industry leaders around the country, and get them on board, get those models identified and developed. The terms, the policy and the terms, the guidelines surrounding the whole apprenticeship program needs to be defined, so that helps schools. So often we'll approach a school, let's do an apprenticeship program. Okay, what contract, what agreement do we use? They don't have a model to do this. And so contracts, even developing standard contracts, would be helpful to many schools, and to train the industry outreach person at the school so that they understand what their role is and how to interact well with industry. A central reservation system. I've seen this done in a couple of countries. I think this is really good. A place where industry can come find, select apprenticeships, in their area or from outside their area, where students could seek and apply also as well. So it's a two-way thing. Industry seeks apprentice and apprentices seek placement. And so this type of reservation system would be helpful for that. And also provide some sort of support for the school and for industry to manage that process, perhaps possibly. And a learning platform that can help prepare the students for apprenticeship, help industry prepare too as well, and continue learning for the students and assessments of these programs. Is really important. And this could be built onto your learning management system. This could be a separate system. I think Dr. Jacobs has a lot of experience in this area. And again, coming back to developing key partners as models and promoting those models to other industry to get them to sign on. So as I kind of see it, the last slide to leave you with here, we really need to look at an expanded universe of learning. It's not just at the school, but it happens before. The vocational schools. I'm talking about TVET in particular now. So we need to look at the senior high school or even primary schools. How do we develop and prepare them to move to the TVET Learning Institute? How we organize that learning here and make it then articulate or transfer into apprenticeship programs, to also transfer into programs for industry, and then also not just for industry, but for the employee themselves, because they may lose their job. They may need to be reskilled, or industries need to upskill too as well. So, it's more of a continuous learning landscape. This is what we're missing. And it's what's necessary if we really want to do lifelong learning, and the institutions be a part of that. Otherwise, the pedagogy aspect is approaching. And that, during the pedagogy, then, the learner is taking responsibility for their learning. they can do it by themselves, but to have assistance and a better, larger landscape for this would be very helpful for this. And so I thank you for the time today. I look forward to any of your Q&A sessions then, and I'll be around for the Q&A process. And thanks again to everybody for allowing me to share some information with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your informative, insightful presentation on lab tech apprenticeship, experience, impact, statistic of learning losses observed around the world, crisis of learning of children, rapid framework for learning recovery after pandemic, and especially your valuable suggestion to internship and apprenticeship, Dr. Stephen Mackey. We are very grateful to your valuable time in sharing with us such an amazing topic today. May I ask you to stay until the Q&A session. Distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, now we have arrived the Q&A session. So for those who have a question to our speaker regarding the topic today, please drop your question in the chat box so that our team can work on that to issue your question to the speaker. Yeah, we have 30 minutes for this session, so I think it's enough time for our speaker to explain and clarify on any question concern. Well, let me share the slide of the question. Thank you. Slide here. Okay. Everyone, can you see the question well?
Yes, it's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. I think it's clear that there are big differences based on culture and policies within different countries, among different countries. But I think one of the things that sometimes people don't understand about the United States is how decentralized the workforce development system is. So there are no national policies that promote internships. There are programs and initiatives within the Department of Labor, but they're also within the individual states as well. And it's very difficult to say to answer the question, what is the national apprenticeship policy for the United States, other than to say that there's a lot of activity going on, but it's a lot of activity going on in a lot of different places. There are professional organizations, there's trade associations that are involved in this, governmental organizations at the state level, and also at the national level. One of the disadvantages of the American system is that the ability to recognize these apprenticeships and have them nationally recognized makes it a little bit more difficult, since they're so separated, and difficult there is not one registering agency across the United States.
Thank you, Dr. Professor Jacob, for your clear answer to this question. I hope the questioner get a clear explanation from Doctor. Thank you.
Please follow up if anybody would like to know more. please follow up after the webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor, for your answer. Thank you. Well, now we can move to our next question. Okay. So, question number 2 from Dr. Roy Regan, MSK Global Technology, asked to Miss Patri. Miss Patri, are you here?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Okay, hope you can get this question well. You can see very well, right? Thank you.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, my name is Ratri, not Patri. But okay, so thank you for the question, Dr. Roy Regan. So, but I always hear this statement whereby industry and also school or university, they have a certain gap. That's why government come out with the link and match, and we would like to contribute into this program of link and match. However, I believe that the new program and also the participation from industry, it will be split closer the gap, I believe. I hope so as well. And I don't know, because this is supposed to be a cooperation of the party, but from the industry perspective, our pinpoint is yes, we couldn't able to get the candidate who ready to hire or ready to be used. That's why we participate in the program along the way with the internship and also apprentice program. But to be honest, we are in Isuzu Indonesia, we more focused to internship to the student because to our best knowledge that we need to prepare the talent in the beginning during they study. That's one thing. And then second, it is like when we could see from the beginning when they are being educated or being trained, then we can put the best candidate that we need. But I can't answer about the gap between industry and also the university or the school, because I think it is the problem of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Patri, for your explanation on the question concern. Now we still have a few more questions to go. Let me share again. We get a question from our participant. How can teacher and student gain opportunity for apprenticeship in your institution by face-to-face or virtual, especially for foreign teacher or student? And when can they apply? What are the recommendations for those who want to apply for the program? This question goes to all speakers. So may I invite Dr. Jacob first?
Well, I'm not sure how to answer the question, to tell you the truth, because it really doesn't apply. Every organization in the United States obviously has their own schedule in terms of internships, and so that's something that is very dependent on each individual organization. And it's very difficult these days, as you might imagine, to bring international guests to come over to work in American organizations. That has become more and more difficult for a lot of different reasons: immigration, visas, all the different things that you can think of. And most of you know the politics of the United States in the last several years hasn't been real welcoming for foreign visitors anyways. So I'm not sure I can answer that question with any accuracy other than to say it would probably be a challenge for an international foreign student, a foreign teacher, to come and work in an American organization, unless it's a multinational organization, that there's some contact with that organization from an overseas perspective.
Thank you very much, Dr. Professor Jacob, for your clarifications on this topic question. Sorry. And may I invite our speaker, Mr. Himpisat, for your clarification on this. Mr.
Yes,
Himpisat, are you with us?
Yes, Mr. Samrong, yes. Thank you for your question. Question number 4. Yes, actually, for our conference, we open opportunity for the student who internship or apprenticeship with our company, except 2020 and 2021, we closed because of the COVID-19, but from 2022, we reopened the opportunity for the students, both local and international, having their internship or apprenticeship with us. Just contact us to the single tag for our reference, and then we will reply you. Yeah, because we open opportunity. And what we concern is the internship or apprenticeship regarding to the clinical or quality management. That is what we want. Because so far we found that the apprenticeship or internship having less attention on clinical issue. That means they prefer only the management, something like that. So that we for 2022 or 2023, we open opportunity for the student internship on technical issue. Yeah, just contact us. We reopen the opportunity. And very simple. Just send us an email or contact us by Telegram or whatever. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pisat, for your clarification. And please, you may drop your email and contact in the chat box so that our participant can have your contact. And may other speaker, if you wish to do that, you can do that as well. We really appreciate. May I move to our next speaker is Dr. Stephen Murphy. Do you have any comment or clarification on this question?
Sure. This can definitely apply to us because I think maybe of our other participants, we're in a position actually to do this, to offer apprenticeships and internships to students and teachers from selected countries, particularly in Southeast Asia. I mean, our factory is located on Batam Island next to Singapore. So we're kind of in the middle of Southeast Asia. And because of the cooperation of visas between all the 10 ASEAN countries, it's quite easy for people from any of the ASEAN countries, such as Cambodia or Malaysia or Vietnam, to come to visit us. And so arrangements can be made fairly easily for short-term apprenticeships and internships. And there is a special visa for Indonesia that is for education too, as well. So that can be applied. We have had teachers, particularly more than students, work at our factory and on a work study programs for the Philippines. We've had from Vietnam, Malaysia, even a little, and also from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, to name a few, that have come in for 3 to 6 months at a period of time. And that's important for a teacher to come for that period if it's a work study program. If it's like 1 month, it's not long enough for industry to gain a benefit from it. So it'd be more like a training program, which we also have. So you could check in. So if you're interested in this, if any teachers are, you can drop me a note. I put my email in there. I will connect you with the HR department, and you can see the opportunities for that. Students is a little bit more difficult because of there may be language problems. Like even Ms. Ratri said, even in Indonesia, sometimes there's language problems. So our communication at our management level is in English, but at the workshop level and the factory level, it's in Bahasa Indonesia. So most of our student apprentices are from Indonesia because of communication. But we have had some from Malaysia that cope very well because, Malay is almost the same as Bahasa. And it's close enough for communication. So yes, welcome for that. And I just have one other comment about the skills gap from the SMCOG Global. I think that we know the skills gap really exists in many countries between the schools and industry. And I think that is the heart of the Link and Match program, because Link and Match program was really designed to close that skill gap, to engage industry with the school so that you learn from this. And so by strengthening this, hopefully we can reduce that 10 steps ahead to 7 steps, and then 5 steps, and then 3 steps. But one of the keys to this is sending your teachers out on regular work study or secondment programs. Many countries have policies to where every 2 years a teacher would have to go out for 1 quarter or something like this to work at industry to refresh their skills. And so getting the teachers engaged with industry is really a good way to help close that skills gap, to have them experience what the student needs to learn, from industry makes it a very personal experience that they can take back with them to help change and improve their classroom and training activities. The other thing is to strive for a better curriculum. It comes down to the curriculum and the teaching materials on there. I was just checking about the Indonesian curriculum again just a few weeks ago, and the policy is the curriculum's from 2013. That's almost 10 years ago that it was last updated, and it wasn't updated that well even at that time. So the problem in Indonesia is an updated curriculum. However, there is latitude by the ministry for schools to engage and use their own curriculum. So I would start looking at changing your curriculum to standards that more closely resemble industry standards. And you could look at association standards. You could look even at the ASEAN standards for that. And so starting with changing your curriculum to match closer to industry standards would be something that could set your school apart. And as SMCOG Global, the name states, you really ought to look at global curriculums for that. If you want to talk more about that, just give me drop me an email, and I'd be happy to share some thoughts and connect you with some of our managers and that could help you guide you in this area. So thank you very much.
May I make a comment? May I make a comment on top of that? I'm very enthused by the comments that Steve has provided. And I did want to add that there is processes, techniques available. I mean, many times we think about these issues as being completely outside of our power to do anything about this. And we do have the power. There are techniques such as occupational analysis, job analysis, that are available that allow us to understand what are the standards, what are the expectations of jobs. There's work process analysis that we can understand what are the phases or the components of work processes that go on in organizations. So we do have the tools in our toolbox, in our professional toolbox. They are there. They just have to be understood and applied in the right way. And it's not a mystery from my perspective, of my experience, that there are answers. We don't have to wander around in the forest looking for the light. A lot of times there are answers for us to take a hold of. We just have to realize that there are resources out there. And so anyways, I just wanted to add that that comment to what Steve had said.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ronald Jacob, and for your extra comment, and also for Dr. McKee for your precisely clarify on this. So up next, may I invite Ms. Patri to have comment on this question regarding your own organization. Thank you.
Thank you for your for the insight. So from perspective of Mesin Institute Indonesia, unfortunately, we don't have currently internship or apprentice for the teacher. However, we do have for the student. That's one thing. And then second, we also very welcome to the student or to the teacher where they need to visit our factory. So normally we have cooperation with the college, the university, and also the school. If they would like to come to our factory to see our processes and to just understand a certain process, we are welcome to them. So that's our practice currently. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Patri, for your clear explanation on this. Hope participants get the answer from this discussion. Yes, please.
Yeah, Jamrong, I have a question for Dr. McKee and Dr. Jacob.
Yes, please.
I'm quite interested in the suggestion point Dr. McKee discussed about the central reservation system. That is a good idea, but how to start this? To start having this system in each country, especially the Ministry of Education. What should the Ministry of Education should start thinking about how to prepare this reservation system, central reservation system, to facilitate students, support students, apply for apprenticeship or internship, also to connect to the employer. And for Dr. Jacob, he discussed about the type of apprenticeship, which is about the competency-based, time-based, and hybrid. So in terms of Asian country and also the level of college or high school, this kind of apprenticeship, this risk type, which one should be the most effective for the school level should consider for competency-based or time-based or hybrid-based apprenticeship? Because in the high school level or college, the industrial school or vocational school, they are very limited, maybe not available for time-based. But anyway, I would like to hear more detail from both of you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, if I can make some comments in response to your comment and question, I will do that. You know, in a general sense, people believe that competency-based is superior. And, you know, just from thinking about what it means, it makes sense to say that competency-based would be a better approach. At the same time, when you say that, you're assuming that from a competency-based perspective, that you know exactly what the referent is going to be, and you have all that information, and that you've analyzed the work sufficiently, and that you have a curriculum that's based on that information. So there's a lot of assumptions made with a competency-based approach. Another issue that competency-based approaches, sometimes we don't realize, is that they are not they are looking at what happens at a trained employee level. You know, you don't look at an apprenticeship to train a person to become an expert or even a highly experienced employee. What you're getting from an apprentice is at the level of a trained employee, and they're ready to learn other things after that point. That's what competency-based training will give you. A time-based, the benefit of a time-based in some respects is that there may be some other things that happen related to the job or the occupation that were not documented but occurred. And without that extended engagement in that setting, they would have been constrained not to be able to have that additional experience. So I'm personally, from my background, I go back actually from the 1970s. It's hard to say that and not make a little laugh about it, but I go back to the 1970s and having developed competency-based, personalized system of instruction courses in a college of technology. And so I have a lot of experience, and I have a lot of research experience in competency-based mastery learning courses. Having said that, I also know the benefits of it and also the limitations. It's great to say we're going to go to competency-based, but I don't see a great deal of awareness that the implications of a competency-based, it's more than just saying that we're going to achieve the objectives. It's not the learning objectives that are the referent, it's the work that people are doing. That's the referent for competency-based. And until that is clearly understood, it becomes very difficult to execute, to make that happen, implement that in a practical and an effective way.
I'd like to add on to that. Thanks for those comments. Very appropriate too. I think it's good to look at. I would agree with you, Ronald, that what is the purpose of competency-based, and I've been dealing with this also for decades, and most times I see it not coming out as intended, or finding it very difficult to implement a true competency-based system. But it is extremely important for the TVET area, because we're not like academic programs where you can get a 90% on history test and that's an A. But if you are putting a transmission back together, that work-based objective you were talking about, and you get it only 90% and 10% of the parts are sitting out there, that's a fail. It's 90% isn't good enough in the vocational and technical area in many cases. So competency is really important, and to strive towards that is should be one of our objectives, but it's very difficult to get there. And how we teach the student overall, there are limitations in this, particularly at the lower levels of vocational training, where the student has not very much theory, or does not understand that, or does not understand applied technology very well. This often becomes an obstacle for them to achieving a higher level competency. And I think this is where some of the new interactive digital learning programs can help that can uplift this and overcome the lack of a solid foundation for the student to go on and build on more competencies towards this. I agree with Ronald that the objective is ultimately competency for industry, but we can break this down into steps. And if we have it in a vocational technical institute, and we have, rather than a monolithic curriculum, we have modular curriculums, and we can then go step by step. You have the first module, and you you master it. You have a high level of competency there, and you have a minimum to where you need to get to before you can progress to the other module. Now, this leads us into that issue that you mentioned of time-based curriculum. So is competency-based curriculum time-based curriculum? Not necessarily, but you could fuse them together. In a true competency-based, you would allow students to go through at their own pace, in my opinion. Ultimately, this is where I'd like to see education move. So you have a module, you have 100 kids that are learning this module. Those that master quickly, allow them to go on to the next module if you can. But this gets into restructuring how you teach and where you teach and when you teach. And again, digital platforms can help manage that process. This is really a learning management problem to move away from not time-based to competency-based. So if we can let students learn at their own pace, and after they get to a certain point, they can then go to the next module at their own rate, then we would have students moving through the system at different rates. But that's a good thing, because one of the difficulties in vocational technical training is getting that understanding competency among the class. That's one of the in the old way that we teach, that's really difficult because not everybody learns at the same level. You may have a few people competent very quickly, and then you struggle. Well, then you work more and you get kind of the middle level, but then you struggle with the ones that are having problems, and they probably never get there. And so we teach to a median average. That means we got half the students coming with us and we lost half the students. And that's often the results from the vocational technical systems, where we see, particularly at the high school level, poor results in graduation, because we're teaching to the median, not to the individual. And that's where we come back to pedagogy again. We need to teach to the individual. In order to do that effectively, we need to change the way that we actually teach and structure in the classroom. And with the modern tools today, I think we can do that. And that way we can get better competency. We can uplift it. I mean, one encouraging thing that we've been doing a lot of interactive assessments at what we call formative learning, which is really, it's a type of competency base. You're testing whether the student knows this and can do a task and do something like this. And we found that when we use, this is across maybe 20,000 students in 80 countries or so, that we got the level of students up to over 90% understanding, which is just incredible, actually, compared to a class median that we find in many countries around 50%. And it really can have a huge impact if you put that up, you know, the level of understanding of the student, and then the teachers working with students that have that level of understanding. It makes it much easier to develop that good competence in the workshop of the actual practices that industry needs. And if we could do that, we can, I think, work towards eventually having open-ended, open entry courses where students can come in when they want, or even from industry. You know, you have somebody who's working for 5 years, they don't understand about DC electric motors very well. They want to take a top-up module in that because it applies to their work, and they could come in and do that, get that information, master that, have a competency, have a micro-credential about that, and come back out and be better at their job. You know, we need to enable that type of learning, of coming in and out of learning when you need it. And this is a concept of the new world today. Learning is not just consolidated into the period when you're young, but you need to do it your whole life. And you need it at different periods. You want it when you need it. And we need to be able to make the system, our education system, open enough to accommodate that. And then we will achieve a better link with industry too, as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aki and Dr. Jacob, for your impressive and detailed answer to the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all speakers to deliver your comment on each question. Yeah, hope that participant get clearer and deep understanding about the topic concerned. And to me, myself, learn a lot from all of you comment and presentation. Yeah. And now we, because of the time, we arrive the closing session. And once again, we are very grateful for all speakers today. Your sharing, your delivery of knowledge today are very precious for us. We move to closing agenda. I would like to introduce and invite all of you to listen to the recorded closing remark by Mr. IB Budiyato as ComMT, Executive Director of Kopitiam Indonesia. Yes, because he cannot join us personally. Now he can record the video. Yeah. Now, please listen to his closing remark.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to the Honorable Dr. Sang-Hyang Ai, the Director of Siamio Regional Center for Technical Education Development, who gave me the opportunity to deliver closing remarks for this webinar. It is an absolute honor to deliver the closing remarks in this international webinar on the theme Problems and Challenges of Internship and Apprenticeship Perspective of Private Sector. My name is Budianto. I'm serving as the Executive Director of Kopitiam Indonesia. Kopitiam Indonesia is an association of higher education. We have 19 members of universities, polytechnic, and colleges. I'm also a lecturer at Polytechnic TDC Bandung. On behalf of the committee, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to our outstanding guest speakers, His Excellency Professor Dr. Ronald L. Jacobs, PhD, Professor Human Resource Development at University of Illinois, and President of Situates LLC, United States. Her Excellency Ms. Ratri Eka Yuniarsi, Human Resource Manager at PT Mesin Isuzu Indonesia. His Excellency Mr. Himpi Seth, Deputy Managing Director of Invesco, BPM and Conferral, Cambodia. His Excellency Dr. Stephen Mackey, President Emeritus of World Didacts Education Association and President of LabTech International Limited. All of the distinguished guests, our participants today who attend this webinar via virtual channels. Internships are the starting door for the students to enter the world of industry. Although the internship contract will not be as binding as working part-time, but one of the goals of the internship is that we are expected to get to know the work ethic and culture of the industry. In Indonesia, the Minister of Education and Culture has declared a program, namely Independent Learning, Independent Campus, which aims to encourage the student to master various sciences to prepare them to enter the world of industry. The Independent Learning, Independent Campus program provides students with the opportunity to do internship equivalent to the application of 20 credits in one semester. This internship activity is able to accelerate student learning experience, credit achievement, and post-campus career. At our campus, Polytechnic TDC, internship programs are conducted in collaboration with local and international industry within the character-based education system. Through the collaboration between Polytechnic TDC and industry, students have the opportunity to do a one-semester internship in industry. Character-based education system emphasizes the formation of habits through mastery of knowledge, skills, will, and is done through repetition. Soft skills of students include proactive attitude, habit of referring to final goals, priorities, win-win solution, empathy, communication, and synergy. Internship programs provide students with sufficient experience through hands-on learning in the workplace. During the internship, students will gain hard skills like complex problem solving, analytical skills, etc., as well as soft skills like professional work ethics, communication, collaboration, etc. Meanwhile, the industry gets talent which, if suitable with industry requirement, can be recruited immediately, thereby reducing the cost of recruitment and initial training. Students who are familiar with the workplace will have a better understanding to entering the world of industry and their career. Through this activity, industrial problems will be conveyed to universities so as to provide opportunities to update teaching and learning materials for lecturers, and research topics at universities will be more relevant. I believe that during today's, all of us have obtained a fruitful discussion. We have learned a lot from the speakers who have shared their experiences in internship at their institution. Once again, on behalf of the committee, thank you for delivering such important materials and discussion so that all of us can be deepen our knowledge about internship and apprenticeships. Furthermore, I would like to thank all speakers and participants who have joined this webinar from this morning until now. I'm certain that every speaker has presented the idea, technology, and application of internship can be done by participants. I sincerely hope that through your presentation and discussion afterwards, all of us can contribute to solving the internship issues in our own institution. Even though the contribution may be small, but it is still valuable. Finally, I would like to thank all the committee members for organizing this webinar and ensuring that it proceeds smoothly. I would also like to apologize for any inconvenience that you may experience during this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that we can meet again in the next event will be conducted by CMO TED or Cooperative Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Mr. I.B. Budiyato for his informative and insightful remark, video recorded to us. Distinguished guest participant, ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the end. And please give us your feedback and comment by filling out the evaluation form given in the chat box or to be offered the e-certificate when you have filled up the evaluation form. We will send you through email the certificate. And I would like to officially end the session, and I would like to apologize for any unintentional mistake and technical error. And thank you very much again, and hope to see you in the next webinar. And please stay safe and healthy. See you soon in the near future. Thank you for your time and evaluation effort in sharing all speaker, valuable speaker. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Please do not forget to fill out the evaluation form or participant. Here, the link and QR code on the screen you can scan, or the link in the chat box.
Thank you, Mr. Chamrong. Thank you, Dr. Steve. Thank you for all.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Roy again. Enjoy your day.
Thank you all. It's been great being with you here this morning.
Good to
Really
see
enjoyed
you.
it.
Enjoy your time, Dr. Steven. Thank you. See you.
See you.
Anh đất ông.
Recording stopped.
Này, anh tinh ơi ghé. Này. Hả? Ừ.